All right. Hello, folks. Good morning on this Thursday. It's cold where I am. I don't know about where you are, Mike. It was cold last night. Oh, mute problems. Hey, it's Hak Baton. Welcome. Oh, audio problems. It's always something. So while Mike's getting his audio back, um, I'll talk about what's on plan for today. But I'll also mention, as I often do, I have a Discord. So we've got lots of folks talking about the stuff that we stream about. Mike is on the Discord as well. And we talk about design and Java code and IntelliJ and testing and architecture and all that good stuff. So join. We also have a book club. So we're starting our next book on Sunday. It's going to be The Programmer's Brain. And it's never too late to join. So go ahead and check it out and find us there. All right. How's your audio?
I think I'm working now.
All right. Great.
I keep forgetting that once with StreamYard, if I use the mute on my headset, it stays muted no matter what, and I can't unmute it. I have to reset the headset. It's only a StreamYard thing. I don't know why, but
yeah, it's probably a browser thing because StreamYard just uses whatever the browser does. That's the downside of browser-based streaming tools. But it is what it is. All right, so
it's off day.
It's off day.
Off. A-U-G-H.
Oh, off. Oh, they said OFF. I'm like, what?
Oh, you were asking about the weather.
Oh yeah.
Before I lost my mute, yeah, it was 38 degrees this morning when I went out to get coffee.
Yeah.
And there's never ice on the windshield in Oakland, California. There was ice on the windshield this morning.
Yeah. Yeah, I was looking at this at the weather. It's like, oh, it's not raining, but oh, it's gonna be cold because I'm gonna go out on my run later. And I'm like, oh, is it gonna get warm enough even like by noon? I might have to actually put on even when it's in the low 50s or even high 40s, I'll go out with a t-shirt. But if it doesn't get out of at least it's sunny, so that'll help. But otherwise, I might have to actually wear another layer, which I almost never do. So, all right. So yes, it is authentication day, and authorization because it's both. And so I'm gonna have to figure out what service we want to use and how we want to do that. Astrid, welcome. Nice to see you.
Astrid.
So let's talk about just where we are and what we need from authenticate from auth. We'll just leave it at that. So let's look at Jira and see where we're at.
Okay, let me get my screen out of the way. Bring up jira.txt.
Yep.
And I'm not sure if I wrote this after we finished yesterday or if we wrote it during the stream yesterday. Authentication for database admin role.
Right.
And we use a third-party delegation of some sort. I think the ones we were talking about yesterday, what was it? Kinde and Supabase?
Yeah, Kinde and Supabase. So I was looking at Kinde, but I actually found Thomas Schule, I think that's how you pronounce his last name, who actually is dropped into the stream here and there. He's pretty active in the Spring community, and he actually has an HTMX Supabase Spring Boot starter. So I thought we would see if that works well for us. So Supabase, which is SUPA, I'll throw the link in the comments. And I've seen people talk about this. It's so funny. It's like there are all these different services that provide all these pieces. And it's really kind of interesting that if you look at the big cloud providers, your AWSs and Azures and I guess Google Cloud. I say that because I just don't trust anything Google produces these days. They have, as part of the dozens and dozens of services that they have, they also, one of those is authentication authorization. It's interesting that the more pass oriented platform as a service ones don't offer that. So even I don't even think Heroku does, which is sort of the OG pass. I don't know, maybe it doesn't. Maybe I never looked at it, but it seems like that's something that they should offer sort of out of the box, because it's already handling the delivery of your app. Why not also have authentication? On the other hand, it's also like, what would be the benefit to them? I'm not sure, but it would certainly be a benefit to sort of apps like us, is make it easier to integrate. But that's where sort of, do you put the auth directly in the app, or do you have sort of a front end gateway that does some of the auth for you? So there are a bunch of different ways to do it. And so for my Ensembler app, I actually just use GitHub a lot, since by definition, anybody who's going to be using it has to have a GitHub account. Otherwise, they can't actually join the ensemble. So that works well for me. But for this app, we want something more general and more generally applicable. And so Kinda, and there are a few others. There's I've done some stuff with Fusion Auth, who are great folks, and I've done stuff with Auth0 back in the day when they were still independent before they got bought out by Okta. And Supabase is interesting because it combines the auth stuff with the database stuff. And so this is where he's like, you can get your database from your pass, and you can also get your database directly from a database vendor. So there's Neon, and Neon has the database, is what gives Koyev their database. So it's just, the industry is really interesting. And then Supabase has auth plus database, and so it's like, well, maybe we choose Supabase for the database. I don't know. I mean, I kind of find it easier to have the database where the application is deployed, because then it's easy to grab the database credentials and things like that. So I think we'll probably just stick with the auth stuff, since we actually don't need database now anyway, and then we can maybe figure out. So that's kind of the high level summary of what we're considering. And I was playing with Kinda, what maybe I shouldn't be surprised. And so one thing I always feel like, as a Spring Boot backend developer who goes onto the web to find products and services in this area, is I feel like a second class citizen, because everything is aimed at, are you a React developer? Are you a front end JavaScript developer? Here you go, out of the box, boom, you're done. And even backends like Go is more popular than Java in terms of its sort of first class support. And so Kinda does have an SDK for Java, but it's not. It doesn't appear to be a Spring Boot starter. So you can use Spring Boot. Either that, or I don't understand the docs. And so I am, as I am constantly frustrated by docs that don't take the point of view of an actual user. Like, doc writing is hard, and you should hire somebody to do a good job, because then you will get customers. And for whatever reason, like I've done work for clients and written documentation for them, and like, it's worth it, because if somebody comes to your site and it's like, I don't know how to integrate this, they're going to move on to the 10 other choices that they have.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was a very long intro to, I think Supabase might be the easiest on ramp since,
But we just won't use the database part of
and
it?
we just want we yeah. I mean, we don't. It's not like you're forced to.
Right,
And they both have significant ceiling for us before we have to pay for anything. Like
right.
um, I forget what Supabase is, but it's pretty darn high.
I think it was like 50,000 or something.
Yeah, 50,000 monthly active users. I think Kinde was 10,000, but like either way, like that's orders of magnitude more than we have any reason to expect anytime.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so the only issue with Supabase is if you have like lots of projects, they limit you to sort of 2 active projects, and they'll just pause the ones that are not getting any access. One thing I find interesting in it and is in a lot of these things, like yes, they have a pretty nice free level, but it feels like the next step up, is now $25 a month, and
Wow.
which is, yes, the free level is pretty high, but there are some limitations of, like number of projects for Supabase, where it's like, I want 3, but 25 is still actually more money than I'm making, and it would be nice if there's like a $10 level. Um, but pricing is hard. So one of the nice things about the auth stuff is most of it is going to be Spring Boot security with Spring Boot. Um, once you've and we'll see this as once we sort of get started. Once we establish which path, so what generally in the security, you basically say, here are the routes, and here's who can access them. And once you establish that, what's nice is you really isolate which security implementation you're using. And so it'd be interesting, and we might even do it, or I might do it offline. If we use Supabase, if we swap out Supabase for something else, what does that look like?
Mhm.
And it should be pretty much isolated to just config. So pretty much like 1 or 2 files. And so that'll be nice because if we decide,
Switch to Kinda or something.
just to switch to something else, just to try it out, it'll be straightforward.
Yeah, good isolation is always good. Or maybe not
Yes,
always, but usually good.
that's almost always good.
Yeah.
So so the Supabase starter that we're going to use is from here. I'll throw the link into the comments. So I expected to use Kinde, but then this morning I was looking around. I'm like, I'm not sure about that. And so sort of last minute, this was the decision. I think in private, in case that's easier. There it goes. And so Thomas Shuley, I think it's pronounced that way. At some point, Thomas will have to correct me.
How do you spell it?
It's SCHUEHLY.
Oh. Is that the HTMX Spring Boot person you were mentioning earlier?
Yeah. There's a Y at the end.
Oh.
And it's Thomas, THOMAS. Must be Shuley because it's you with the umlauts. So it's Shuley? Yeah. Converting those German umlauts into English characters is always fun. I remember back in the early 90s, I was writing a search tool that would search German, and English I already had down in terms of parsing the different parts of a word, prefix, suffix, roots, interesting conversion between B's and P's and stuff like that as the word gets things added to it. And I had to learn how to basically parse German words, which are generally much longer, and pull the different pieces out so we could parse it and index it. And that was that was actually fun.
That sounds cool, actually.
Yeah. All right. So to get started, you're gonna have to sign up for Supabase.
Okay. I
So
presume I will do that off screen.
yeah. Um,
Let's see. Start your project probably because sign in doesn't look shit.
so you'll have to sign up. Yeah. Or you can start for free. That'll probably take you to the sign up.
Sign up now. Oh, I said I can do GitHub. I need.
Yeah, I always go back and forth, but for stuff like this, I use GitHub because why not? It's just as good as anything else.
Yeah.
It's one less password to put in my password manager.
On the outside chance, I just searched my vault to see if I had Supabase, but I don't.
Yeah, I know. I'm the same way. It's like, have I ever signed up for this? Because I'll sign up for all sorts of stuff like this, and then months later forget about it, and a year goes by, and it's like, oh, did I sign up for this? Oh, look, I actually did sign up for it.
Okay.
One thing that's really annoying is I'll get emails saying, hey, we've updated our blah blah blah, and I'm like, what are you again? Like, because I haven't gotten an email from them in 3 months, and I must have signed up for some service. And it's like, hey, we have a new version and it has these very specific detailed features. I'm like, but what are you again? And I always feel like if you're gonna, if it's gonna be a while since you sent me an email, remind me what the heck your service is.
Sure.
I think cattle. That's cool. Yeah. I did a bunch of stuff with I learned a lot in my linguistics course that I took at Queens College back in the day. Um, Learned about, and that informed me about all the stuff about morphemes and stuff that change as you cycle through the different parts of speech and things like that. So sounds like fun. All right, you got an org,
I got an org.
and you got the and you get the org based on your GitHub username.
Yeah,
Which is
I
what I
just
found
used my.
out. And I did
That's
not.
funny.
Uh, One thing I noticed is like I did not see a way to change the organization name, which was kind of frustrating.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe there is a way to change it. Oh, there is. I just didn't look at it. Yeah, there.
What do you think? Song themes?
Well, this is
Or
the
leave it?
organization, so I would
Ah,
leave it unless you want to change it to your personal name.
nah. I'm okay with.
Um, One thing that I tweeted about this yesterday. One thing that annoyed me about and Supabase has the same problem is if you go to the account preferences on the left, so you can save that before you go off the
Yeah.
screen. And go to
And
preferences there.
there you go.
The one thing is like I and I feel like lots of folks, I see it less these days, but lots of folks copy Apple's horrible UI of let's put some light gray against and some darker gray and some various shades of gray that are not
Uh-huh.
very significant. And so like if you look at the account page, which you pulled off screen.
Yeah, sorry, it's got my email. I don't read
Oh,
the
okay.
screen very well.
Uh, you can go back to the Oregon because you can still see it.
Org account. Huh.
Or never mind, that's fine.
It's not moving. Oh, I see. Got it.
Yeah, so maybe bump up the zoom just a tad.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
How's that?
And so this is another thing. Like these dashboards clearly, like there's some dashboards where they're now like, oh, you might not want the critical stuff to appear on screen, so we're gonna sort of hash it out or Greek it out and hide it for you until you click a button to show it. And I actually used to have a browser plugin that would automatically do that, so that on stream I wouldn't accidentally dox myself.
Mm.
But if you look at the left side, like the projects, organizations, account, and documentation, those are headers. Those do not look like headers. They look like
Oh,
just
right.
dim options.
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
And
I was clicking on this
exactly,
when you said
exactly.
go to
And
organization. I'm like,
that's terrible. It's terrible. And yes, and I complained, and I had this problem when I was at Apple. We were working on our internal cloud system, and they did similar stuff, and the text was small. And I said, first of all, I can't read this. Second of all, and I didn't want to say this too loud, but you guys are violating the law because this is inaccessible,
right.
and you must make this tool accessible. And I had to fight much harder than I thought I would have had to say, can you make this like increase the contrast? So one thing that developers in their 20s don't understand is that contrast is very important to us older folk. And Apple does this all over the place, and it's horrible. It's this poor contrast thing. So
Yeah, this
that's
contrast from this
it's
to this is
and this
very
is
subtle.
especially bad because the links don't have any other indication that they're links. And so, like, if you're going to do those as headers, the one thing you could do is what I do is make them small caps, and so then it looks like it might be a header. But this is just terrible. Anyway, that rants aside. So let's see. So what do we need to do? What's next? So I think we need to create a new project. So
Within
within,
Supabase.
yeah. So if you click on all projects there on the left, upper left,
You mean the one that's clickable?
the actual one that's clickable. Yes. Not
Yeah,
projects, but all projects.
right. New project.
Yeah. So new project.
Oh,
And
there's a
this is
new
where,
organization button. Did you notice that?
yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. So you can set up multiple organizations, I guess. And so here we would have song themes. I would suggest
Camel case or a
for
kebab
the
case?
name, yeah, all lowercase kebab case, because one of the things I'm never sure about is like how spaces and capitalization are going to be handled.
What do we call this one? Is it, yeah, it is song themes, the same kebab case. Okay, cool.
I mean, it's possible that that name is irrelevant from and that will get some kind of ID, but we can always rename the project later, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, Astra. This is why diverse teams are so important. I agree.
Yeah.
As important is you need to listen to them. It does no good if you have a diverse team and you ignore the people who have different opinions. That's why you have a diverse team.
Yeah.
So you're going to need a
Off screen.
password for the database. I mean, it's going to hide the password, so you don't have to worry about that, but you might want to generate it off screen. So
Yeah,
you
generated
can
off
go off
screen.
screen if you want.
And this is for Postgres.
Yeah, this is for Postgres. It's weird, like why they would not generate their own password for this. I don't understand.
Well, there is a generate button here or
Oh,
link.
that's so dim. I didn't see it. Like again, the contrast is terrible.
My password vault has a generation thing. So I'm just going to generate and
I am 100% sure if they ran this page through the web accessibility guideline standard, it would fail. Which is technically illegal. Just saying. And something I was mentioning earlier is both Supabase and Kinda, for the name, have first and last names as separate fields, and that drives me crazy because my middle initial is there. It's important, and other people have even worse situations because they have like 2 or 3 middle names or surnames that have two space separated things. and it's just terrible.
So you're saying I can
Stop.
paste it in? Oh, sorry, keep going.
Yeah, yeah, you should be able to just paste it in.
Okay.
And so I just tell folks, like, stop parsing full names. You don't need first name and last name as separate fields. There's no law that says you need to do that. I'm begging you, stop doing that. Have a field for full name. If you need to have something so you can refer to me more casually than my full name, then ask for first name or ask for nickname. But you are insulting people who have names where the middle initial or middle name is important, and I think it needs to stop. And I feel like today's rant day.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's good. There is that,
Um,
there's that famous blog from posting from
oh
probably
yeah, the
decades
falsehoods
ago
of names,
about
yeah.
names. Yeah.
And
I mean, I know
and
somebody whose first name is a single letter,
yeah,
just the letter V,
yeah,
and they wanted it to be their full name, but back then California wouldn't let you not have a surname. Now you
right,
can
and
have a
right.
non-surname. So your name can
And
be one letter.
yeah. And did you ever meet 3?
Yes. No, I never
Yeah.
met three, but I know
Oh,
three.
okay. Yeah.
Know of three
So
is the way of
yeah,
putting it.
so he had some fun uh fun times getting his name changed. So his name was for those who don't know, he was well known in the sort of early Agile XP community in the Bay Area. And it was his name was basically 3 capital I's, so 3 Roman numeral 3. Um, so yeah.
Pretty much the he pretty much isn't he the person that pretty much invented the concept of chartering? Um,
Yes, he was
yeah,
definitely that's how I met him through some chartering work with Ainsley Nyes. Yeah.
right. Ainsley's awesome too.
Yeah, and there are all sorts of issues with capitalization and spacing and punctuation. I had a site that wouldn't let me put a dot after my middle initial, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me? In a name field, you're not allowing me to put a dot? What about a dash? Is that okay? What about all people with hyphen?" I mean, it's just stop trying to parse and do stuff with names. That is the most personal thing you could have, and it is therefore the most infuriating and insulting thing you could do is mess with people's names. All right. Good afternoon, Luis Segundo. Uh, while I haven't been ignoring your messages, we'll 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 talk about that stuff in a bit. I want to just get us. I want to get us past my ranting. Sorry. I think that's all we need here. I don't know what the next page does, so it might be good to. Um,
Is there a next page? Oh, I press create.
you press create, but I'm not sure what happens next, so I might do that off screen.
Got it. It's got API keys and secret, but you have to reveal it.
Yeah, so luckily it appears they have hidden the stuff that needs to stay secret, and the stuff that is public is visible, so I think we're okay.
Okay, bringing it back then.
At some point, you'll have to reveal those 2
Right.
pieces,
Yeah,
um,
I'll do that offline.
but for now, I think that's fine. So what we get are, so for those who, what am I
Whoa,
laughing at? So,
interesting.
oh, what's that? That's cool. So,
All I did was
what'd you do?
I all tabbed between this window and IntelliJ, and it moved away from the
Oh, that's
API.
interesting. It did a page reload.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
yeah. Oh, here it is. Oh, I see. So when we finished creating it, jumped down to this part of the page, but when I did a alt
But it
tab,
also
so
took
here I'll do it
away
again. Oh, it did the reveal.
the reveal stuff. Um, I assume there's a way to get that back.
Back. I know. I
That,
was like,
so that's really confusing. Um, hmm.
I'm gonna go back and then see if it jumps. No, interesting. It only did it when it was.
Oh, you have to click view. Basically it's under the view API settings, which you can do. That won't reveal anything. So that's,
So I guess
yeah,
it's
but
kind of like a
that was really
security thing.
bad.
They're thinking, well, I could see their perspective on it. Though. I'm gonna do it again. Like if I switch here and then come back, now it didn't jump. Interesting.
No, it was basically on some timer where it basically, maybe it was doing some background processing or something. But that's bad UI. Let's see. So let's see what we need now for authentication. So if we click, just looking at the authentication settings page,
Do you want
see
to?
if there's anything sensitive there.
Oh, I see.
So that looks fine. There's nothing. They're just offset. You can click it, but they're just settings for like allow new users to sign up. We might want to actually turn that off.
Right. Until we make it
Yeah.
available to anyone else.
And what I don't see is how would you add users manually? That's what because what we'd like to do is obviously add you
As an admin.
as an admin. I don't see how to do that. Unless that's under. They have the same sort of annoying left sidebar icon thing where it's basically, I don't know what these are, and so you have to mouse over each one to figure out what it is that you want to do.
Oh, those.
So the one with the that looks like some weird padlock, not like
Oh,
any
this one.
padlock I've ever seen.
This one. This one.
The one that says authentication, it's supposed to look like a padlock. That doesn't look like a padlock to me. That looks like some combination padlock, or like icons are supposed to be the simplified, most abstracted version of the concept. All right, I'll stop.
It's
And
rant day.
so it really is rant day. This is what happens when I start using a new service. So if you go to that page, it's going to be empty. There are no users, and then in the upper right we can add a user. So that's how we'll do it.
Okay.
All right, but let's add a user.
Let's see if I'll do it. Oh, create.
And you'll have to do it off screen because it's going to ask you for email password.
Yeah. And do you think 6 minimum password is good enough, or?
I think it's fine.
Okay. Just.
Oh, great. My 1Password just crashed. That's not good. Because I'm basically going through what you're going through on my screen.
Got it.
And that was weird.
Mm-hmm.
And that's interesting. So that doesn't appear to be a way, once you've created that user, to change their display name.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe that's only something that they can do. I don't know. I mean, that's fine, but that's interesting.
So how do I even add a display name? Because it's not even in the add user.
Yeah, it's not. I don't know.
Huh.
I'm not going to worry about that.
Yeah. So I've got that created. Come back. I guess
So
it's
what we
showing.
want
Oh well.
is back to the API settings.
I guess I shouldn't be worried about my email address because
Oh, yeah.
I mean it's probably not that hard to find given it's my actual name.
Well, and
And I'm using
it's
my
yeah,
real name here, so
it's certainly guessable. So,
yeah.
where is so that's users. Where'd the API settings go?
Sorry, laughing
Oh,
at Astrid's comment.
oh, there it is. Wow, this is okay. So what we want to get to is uh so let's go ahead and add um add the Spring Boot starter for from Thomas. Let's add that to our POM file. So what you want to add, unfortunately, he doesn't provide the Maven version, so I'll have to tell you what that is. Did you pull? Because I upgraded our Spring Boot
Oh,
last night.
no, I did not.
So do it. So do a. I think it's a. What is it?
Just git pull.
Control T
I like shortcuts.
and merge, even though there shouldn't be anything to merge. It
Well,
should
I
be.
did do a bunch of typing in Jira.txt.
Oh, right. Okay.
Did we lose it?
No, because it would have merged it, and I didn't modify that, so
Got it.
so that should be fine. Um,
POM.
so yeah, so let's go and let's stick it up. Yeah, let's stick it after line 70 and a half. So add another dependency block. So do open angle bracket dependency. Yep. So the artifact ID, that's going to be that HTMX supabase spring boot starter. If you scroll down, you'll see that in the initial setup section of the README.
The README in here.
Yeah. So just scroll down. So grab after the colon there in the dependencies.
Ah,
So from HTMX to
the first
starter.
colon. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'll go artifact ID.
Yep. And then the group ID is going to be the DE dot T Shuli. And then we're going to want to add a new line 73 and a half, which will be version. And that'll be 0.3.2 because that's actually the latest release.
Got it.
And so you'll need to go into or just wait and Maven will get updated. Okay, so that's all good.
Looks like it's doing it. Yeah. Oh, wait a second. Dependency
Yeah.
not found
Uh,
at the bottom here.
no, it's lying.
Ah,
At least I think it's lying. If you open up, where's your Maven toolbar?
it used to be on the right, but I'm not
Yeah,
seeing it.
why is it not showing up?
That's weird.
So do open up the actions.
Yeah.
And then just type Maven. And you want the second option there. Oops, sorry, that was the pop-up. Do it again. We want the one below add Maven projects. That's just Maven with the M there. but
That
not the
one,
blue M.
not the blue M, the dark M.
The dark one. Yeah. That's weird. Why did it go away?
I know that is weird. Is there like a pin that I'm missing?
I don't know.
I'm not seeing a pin.
Yeah. Maybe it was accidentally removed and now it's added back. So if you open up that tree and then open up the dependencies tree, um, yeah, it's there. Yeah. So that status message was just out of date.
Got it. Cool.
All right. So let's go into our application properties.
Hmm. Is that system.properties?
No. Do you not have an app? Yeah, you have an application. It's up right above test in the window.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was looking in the wrong
Hey,
place.
it's Deshaun. Welcome, Java Grunt.
Hey, Deshaun.
Um, all right.
Oh,
We'll
where
be
are you
your
going
background.
skiing?
We'll be your background for your packing.
I'm a big skier, so I love skiing.
All right. So what we want. Ooh, Copper Mountain.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. So what we want, and we'll probably we'll need to do some of this off screen. And we have to make sure uh, not commit this.
Oh, right.
Uh, the better way might be to do it as an environment variable. Actually, I think what we'll do is we'll just leave it empty and just get everything hooked up, and then figure out how we want to do this stuff at a later point. Because this will actually need to be the credentials we'll want to have locally, but we'll want to put them as environment variables on the paths that we're deploying on. So let's see. Why don't you so bring up the README. And let's copy the whole section there uh, under that. Yeah,
Down here?
you can just
Or can I
click the
just,
copy button.
yeah.
We won't need all of it, but it's just easier to copy it that way and try and select and copy. And let's see how smart IntelliJ is. Let's see if IntelliJ converts that YAML into properties. I hate YAML, and I try to avoid YAML as long as I can. So let's switch back to IntelliJ. So let's get to a couple of new lines and then paste. Nope, it didn't. That's too bad.
Wait a second. Is there a
sort of, but it's not. It does the other way around, which is nice. If you're YAML, it'll take property file formats and if you paste it into a YAML file, it'll convert it to YAML. But apparently, it doesn't do it the other way. That's fine. We can do this manually. So let's change line 5. That's going to basically be our prefix. So change the colon to a dot. And then, and what we're going to do is basically copy that and just prefix it on all the other lines.
actually, wait a second.
I was going to say, do you want to do the multi-caret?
Yeah, I was just about to. Alt J?
So Alt J
No,
works if you're searching, but in this case, you want to
oh,
create multiple carets. And the way you do that is you double tap the control key.
okay.
So double tap the control key and then do the down arrow. Is that the control key that you hit?
Yeah, let me try it again. That's what it did.
Um, what is it then on Windows? It's supposed to be control.
I haven't customized my keyboard mapping, so it's what's it called? I'll just look it up from the actions.
Um,
Cursor.
that's a good question. Is clone caret? Yeah, clone caret below.
Control and then control down.
Yeah. I
But it's
guess.
but they
I guess that's what it's. I guess
but
maybe on
it's
the Mac it's different. So yeah, it's control and then control down, and then you can just keep doing control down.
I am doing it, but it's not moving it.
If you move the
Whoops.
cursor after it, then you can add more. So hit escape.
Okay.
And then control down a few times. There
Here
you
we
go.
go.
And now you can just
Paste.
paste.
Control down. That one's going to be.
Yeah, no, not that kind of caret. And now you can hit escape, and we can get rid of 14 through 16 because we're not doing the database stuff. And then let's grab the project ID from wherever the project ID is.
Is it?
I think he had a link to that
Who did?
on the README.
Oh, and the README. I see. That project ID. Got it.
Yeah. So no, sorry, go down right above where we copied pasted. He has a link
This
there. Yeah. So grab that, but you want to just take the project part of it because the domain name is going to be different for you, and that's where you'll go.
from here.
So that's the URL you're going to go to on Supabase to get the settings, or you can just click on API on the Supabase. Yeah, this is really terrible.
It's API docs. Is it probably
It's under settings. So the
settings.
gear, and then API. And so what we want, what did we come here for?
I thought it was project URL.
We wanted project ID.
Project ID. Do you think this project URL is the project ID? No.
What is the project ID? That must be the prefix. Yeah, so it's basically if you see in the URL,
Okay.
the DIP, whatever. Yeah, so it's basically the prefix. It's also the prefix to the URL. So you see in the project URL section, the URL, it starts with
Right.
that. And so everything, everything, yeah. So there's no separate entry for project ID,
Interesting.
which I guess
So
makes
that would
sense.
go here.
Yeah, yeah. And we don't need line 5 anymore.
That's true.
We can actually copy and paste the anonymous key because that can be public. So that was back on that page. You can just click the copy button.
And
so what I would do is comment that line, duplicate it and comment it out, because eventually we'll want it to look like that. So what that means is with the dollar curly, it means pick it up from some other place, either specifying on the command line or from an environment variable. But we're going to just put it in directly. So get rid of everything after the colon. And in fact, all those colons should actually be equals. So here you can do a select the colon space and then do the Alt J.
And you said equals,
And just put equals, yeah.
no space.
Yeah. That's it. Yep.
Cool.
Um,
Now
I think
JWT secret I got to do offline, right?
yeah, we're not going to put that in now because we're going to want to handle that private stuff later. So what page did we actually have a controller endpoint for the UI for the bulk import UI? I don't think we did. I think we just had the search one.
I'm not even sure. Yeah, actually see what we have.
Well, that's the welcome page. That's but no, under our in remember this would be an inbound adapter.
Oh, right.
So I think that controller is only for searching. Scroll up. So we've got the theme search. Yeah, because there's a button and it does a get request. Let's rename this controller because it's confusing to call it just song themes when it's really a specific thing. We're not moving it.
Shift F6.
Shift
the
F6.
The other F6.
Yeah, the other F6. One of the other F6s.
Song theme searcher, is that what you were saying?
Yeah, I think it should just be song theme searcher or search controller.
And get rid of controller or search controller.
I'm up for getting rid of controller. What about you?
Works for me.
All right, let's do it. Let's break the mold.
Get rid of that Hungarian.
And yeah, we should probably rename the test as well. Yeah. Hey, there's a hand so high.
Is that it?
Yeah, Cattle, we're gonna figure out how to do that because eventually that will be an environment variable on the pass as well. So we won't want it, and we certainly don't want to check that in. Yeah. I'm up for renaming the variables. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Okay.
Let's do a commit. Yeah. Hey there, 0x Mr. Colonel, a summary of what a virtual thread is and its benefits. Virtual threads are huge. Basically means that you will basically not run out of threads. But the basic idea is instead of worrying about threads blocking and sitting there and doing nothing, and they're a precious resource, because typically you can only, depending on the operating system and hardware, you could probably only create on the order of thousands, maybe. And so each one, so if you have if you have a system that's needing to do a lot of things simultaneously, like handle a lot of people searching for songs, you would not want to have one thread per user, because if you've got 10,000 users, 9,000 of them are going to be very unhappy if you can only have 1,000 threads. And so before virtual threads, what you would do is you'd have a pool of threads. And when you hit a point where you have to block because you're waiting for IO, so waiting for the database to respond, waiting for a connection to respond, waiting for read some of the file, right? Basically, if you don't have what you need in memory to do the work, you got to go fetch it from somewhere, and that takes a long time relative to the thread to the computer, right? A second for us is not a long time, but that's 1,000 milliseconds. That's a terribly long time to a computer. And so so it used to be, and this is where the frameworks and underpinnings would provide pools, and it's like, okay, you're blocked. I'm going to take the thread away from you and run some other code. And now you're blocked. I'm going to take the thread away from you and use it to run some other block of code until it blocks, and then I'm going to take it away, right? And so there's this shifting around of these threads because they're precious resources. Well, virtual threads basically says, stop doing that. We'll do that for you, in a sense. And so now threads are cheap. For a while, they were called fibers. That's why it was Project Loom. But now they're just virtual threads. And for me, it's always funny because in the very, 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 very early days of Java, that's how it worked. What were called green threads, and so now we're sort of back to that, which I think is kind of come full circle. And so now it means you don't have the framework, nor you have to figure out how to hold on to and share these precious resources. You don't pool threads anymore. You just create them when you need them, and let the underpinnings of Java figure out how to do that. And virtual threads are absolutely production ready. Yes, they're like anything new. There's always going to be some edge cases where you might run into some problems. Um, for the most part, though, you probably will not run into it. uh, hold on, I'll actually come back to that one. Yeah, so when Oracle and Java and OpenJDK say that virtual threads is out of preview, and even when it was in preview, it was still sort of production ready. You just had to worry about the API changing. It is production ready. People are using it in production, and you should be using it in production. And this is why, if you run like Open Rewrite Spring Migration script, it will turn on the virtual threads for you because it is production ready. Use it. Use it, use it, use it. Absolutely. 100%. Yeah, the Jep Cafe, love watching his stuff. Um, yeah, absolutely. Use it, take advantage of it, stop worrying about it being a precious resource. Don't use thread pools anymore, you don't need it. Um, yeah, it's really, I mean, I can't, it's one of those super, super powerful hidden things. But it's a breakthrough as big as Lambdas. And I am very thankful because, as I was mentioning before, like the alternative is you have to figure out async await. So a lot of languages do async await in order to protect these resources, saying, okay, I'm going to go async and then I'm going to wait. I'm going to block against this other thing, and you don't have to do that. We don't have to do that in Java. So in terms of the secrets, yes. So there is, you can set, if you use dev tools, you can set a special config in your home directory under .config spring boot. I do that, and we might do that as well, because it means that you don't have to. It means basically the property is there and is automatically read in development, and so that's probably what we'll do. Uh, yeah. Just catching up on other questions. Yeah, private keys never end up in GitHub repos. That never happens.
I just realized I was on mute. Top of hour. Should we take a break and then
Yes,
catch up on
yes.
chat
Yeah, so let's take a
comments?
break, and when we come back from the break, we'll have to set up a controller endpoint just to basically sample one, just so we can get, or I guess we could protect the theme search, but we'll figure that out when we come back from the break.
Okay.
So we're gonna take
Remember,
a break.
yeah, 7.
How long? 7?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we'll take a 7-minute break, and we'll see you when we come back.
Great.
All right, so while waiting for Mike to get back, just a couple of announcements. You've been seeing the link to the Discord come through, so go ahead and join if you're not already a member of Discord. Got lots of great folks asking questions about Java, Spring Boot, testing. Lots of resources shared. When new releases of Java or IntelliJ come out, we talk about those. And as I've mentioned before, we've got a book club. So it's never too late to join, but we are starting, we'll have our first session on Sunday, so a few days away. Those of you who are in the book club, read the chapters. Don't wait till the last minute, like me. So it's free to join, but you got to be in the Discord to get access. And the way the book club works is we pick a book and we read it. We read a chapter or two, and then we spend a couple of hours on Sunday working through it and talking about it and sharing our questions and confusions and aha moments and experiences and things like that. So the book club, we meet on Zoom from 10 a.m. to noon Pacific time, which is 6 to 8 p.m. UTC. And the next book that we're going to be working through is The Programmer's Brain. Brain. I would say Bane. I don't know why. The Programmer's Brain, and it's really it's something that is the whole idea of learning and so on is really something that I've been studying for 6 or 7 years now. I've got some talks on how people learn and why it's important to understand that. And this book is written by someone who's done research in the area. So it's going to be very different from your typical technical kind of thing. So I know I'm looking forward to it. All right.
Rock and roll.
Let's go back here. Yeah, I'll post a link to the book. Let me do that. There it is.
Did we ever get back to Al Wally about the?
No, I was gonna get back to that. Questions now.
You're one step ahead of me. I'm just scrolling back in time here.
Yeah. So while he was talking about Unit Cucumber, and yes, this is not as rare as it should be. Mock a bunch of behaviors, and it's even worse at the sort of cucumber level because you're even working sort of further outside. And my recommendation is find ways to get rid of these tests. You might have to keep them around, but what you want to focus on is how can I start testing closer to where the behavior is actually implemented. And by closer, I mean you have the object that has that behavior and you want to write tests directly against it, as opposed to the objects here, and then there's another object here and another object here. And if that's what you're testing against, that's testing at a distance, and you want to test as close as possible. And so typically this is what I see happening is you mock some dependencies, and then what are you testing? Are you testing that you mock them correctly? So what I try to avoid is avoid mocking altogether and use different kinds of test doubles. And so if you we'll probably be doing that here once we get past the authentication. When we start to get to database stuff, you'll see that we're going to use what I think are better techniques for testing with external services. And also on my solo stream where I'm working on Ensembler, you see a lot of that where dependencies are either stubbed out or they're faked, and we basically don't use mocks, and we test as close to the behavior as we possibly can. So my recommendation is if you've got these tests, that's great. But what you want to do is use them as a foundation for then building and writing tests that are much closer to the behavior, which means you may have to refactor the code. One of the the main recommendations I give when I come in, so I do technical coaching. When I come into a team is we need to split this code because it's doing both IO and business logic, and you want those two to be separate. And this is why I like testable architectures like hexagonal and clean, because they really guide you to do that separation. Yeah, because otherwise you end up testing your, did I set up Mockito right? And to me, Mockito is a test smell and a code smell, because it means you're doing things that you really don't need to do if your code is designed to separate the IO from the domain logic. All right. All right, let's get back to so I want to talk about the commit run test thing. So one of the things I found is that IntelliJ, when you tell it to run tests, it runs them after the commit, but before the push, which at least is something. Because I was doing that yesterday and I had that turned on, and I'm like, oh, it ran before the push because it actually failed. I'm like, okay, that's better than running it after the push, but I'd like it to run before the commit. So, so let's see. Yeah. So what do you want to close the notification there on the lower right?
Yeah.
Um, so unsurprisingly, we will have, because I don't think we finished our setup of this. So let's take a look at what else do we need. Um, so it's funny. I saw who was I watching? I was watching a video. No, I can't remember who it was. I know who it is. I'm for some reason I'm blanking on his name. It's gonna bug me. Josh Long. Oh my gosh, I don't know why. Like, I guess I don't mention his name a lot out loud, and so his name escaped me. So I was watching him do some stuff. There's some experimental thing with test jars, and he goes into the context loads and says, "We don't need this. This is a useless test." It's actually not a useless test. It's actually a very important test for this exact reason, which is it is the baseline. Make sure that I've got stuff configured correctly. If you add on other tests, then yes, it might become redundant. But if you've got no other Spring Boot comprehensive, does my application start? This is actually the test you want, the context loads, which is why it's named that way. It's like, can we get the application context all configured and loaded and wired up? So I think it's a good sort of baseline test. Even though it looks like it does nothing, it's actually really important because it's tagged with an @Spring Boot test. And so the @Spring Boot test does all of the initialization, and these are terrible tests to write in general, but for this specific purpose it's perfect, which basically tells us we've got some configuration to deal with. So let's go look at what we're missing. So let's scroll down in this devastatingly large stack trace, as it's what happens when these things fail. Let's keep going. Maybe make the window bigger, actually right there. So we've got a web security, couldn't create a web security configuration. Let's see if there's another cause. So let's scroll down more. So when I'm scanning through these, what I'm looking for is those where we see the caused by, because we're looking for caused by, which is caused by, which is caused by, and we're looking for what is the actual thing that so this one is caused by could not post process. And that's caused by error creating bean with that, because it can't find that. Let's see what else is caused by. And that's because there's no MVC handler mapping introspector. I don't know. That's weird. let's keep going.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, so it's having trouble creating the health endpoint, which is weird. Let's keep going. Yeah, keep going. Keep going. Yeah, keep going. I wonder if it's that. So I wonder if Thomas's starter actually requires the database settings, even though we're not going to use the database.
Oh,
What I'm guessing is that it actually still requires those to be set up.
go look at.
So let's go add those properties.
From here is setup.
No, let's just go add them to the application properties. We know what I know what they are.
Okay. Mm,
So your top file.
where'd it go? Oh,
It's
there
on
it
the top.
is. Like you said, on the
Like
top.
I said, top file. So let's drop
Which
down to
top?
the end. Yes, which top? Let's go to line 12 and do supabase dot and database. So yeah, supabase dot database dot host. I mean, I guess we can go grab the host from the Supabase settings. So let's go do that.
Okay.
Database, yep. So copy the host. And then next line is going to be Supabase database. Let's just, I wonder if that's enough. Well, let's set name as well. Although he doesn't have that in his thing. Let's set name. And I don't know what the name, what Supabase defaulted to. Oh, it looks like it defaulted to Postgres. So let's copy that.
Okay.
Basically, we want to get all the Supabase.database stuff set up.
All of them. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that this one?
Yeah. Oh, my guess is those don't need to be specified, probably because it's basically your project name with prefix with Postgres, so it could probably figure it out. And I think we can leave the port out because that's probably the default.
And the other one we're missing is password, but I don't think we.
Yeah, so for that, we can just use the syntax he has in the README in terms of the actual value. Right, so it's just the dollar curly brace thing. Yep. So let's run the context loads test again. That's promising.
Yeah. Nope.
Oh. So it looks like, and I didn't see him document this, so we'll have to do some suggestions to improve the README. So it's looking for flyway. We don't have flyway.
Oh.
So this is kind of unfortunate that he's forcing us to use both the basically use all the database support. That's kind of a bummer.
Hmm.
I don't see any way to suppress that. So that might be a pull request. So then what we want to do is let's go and add that to our POM file.
Let me get what is the exact, is it, what am I adding?
So let's close this and let's go into the POM file.
Mm,
And I think we actually have it commented out above. So let's turn on the Postgres dependency. So let's uncomment that out. And then let's add in
Within Postgres or a separate dependency?
separate dependency. Actually, this we can have IntelliJ put in for us.
Ah, sweet.
So if you scroll up to the top of the dependencies, you see where it says Edit Starters.
Oh,
Click on that.
ooh, sweet.
And if you open up
Or search.
data, or you could search, yeah, just search for Flyway. Oh, it's already in there? Hmm.
How do you know it's in there? Because it's got a check mark?
Because it's got a check mark. Oh, you know what it could be? It could be that, and I see that now in the error message. The Flyway is canon initialized because the driver failed, and maybe that's because we didn't have the Postgres driver. So let's cancel out and let's try it again.
As in rerun the test.
As in rerun the test, yes.
Okay. Because we just added the Postgres dependency.
Right. I wonder if we'll require the starter data JDBC. All right, let's look at what failed now. So Flyway, so still couldn't connect to the database. Let's scroll down a little more. Let's keep scrolling. Let's keep going. It's funny, the same error message. Oh, wrong password.
We haven't set up Postgres yet, have we?
Well,
Looks like we did.
Supabase is so that's the database part of Supabase is it's a Postgres database. But because the password is wrong, Flyway couldn't do anything. I didn't realize we had Flyway turned on. So let's search for Flyway and actually let's
In which one? The
in the
POM
POM
file?
file. Yeah. Let's take out Flyway. So
Is that what you meant?
yeah, I was going to say just delete it because it's easy
Oh.
enough to add back. So if we don't have Flyway, then let's try it again. Let's run it again.
I've not had the right focus. Let me go back to. Hey, mouse, where'd you go? Oh, I know what happened. My wireless mouse probably ran out of battery. Luckily.
Yeah, so Cal mentions I prefer liquid-based to Flyway. They're both good. They're both quality. Matter of whatever you prefer. I have more experience with Flyway, which is why I tend to use it.
Mouse has power again. Rerunning a test. I think.
Nope.
Huh. Control Shift F10 didn't work.
That's working.
Oh, I used the mouse in that case versus keyboard.
All right, we have success.
Woohoo!
So I wonder if we can. So it must have been that we had Flyway in there, and then Flyway needs to connect to the database. But since we didn't have a real database password, it was trying to set up the data source. So okay, that makes sense. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do a commit now that we got all that working. And this is sort of the downside, right? Of what's the word? Bundling. You sometimes can't. It's sort of all or nothing. So the downside of a bundle is you have to take the whole bundle. And the same applies to libraries versus frameworks. Frameworks, you're taking on the whole framework, whether you like it or not. Maybe there are parts you don't like, too bad. On the other hand, assembling libraries yourself and gluing them together means that you're doing work that maybe everybody's doing a million times, and that's how frameworks get born. And that's how Drop Wizard got born. I was a big Drop Wizard fan back in the day before I switched to Spring Boot.
Good enough? Or
sure.
You feel free to suggest a different.
I don't have anything better, which is why.
Okay, cool.
And and it's one of those, like, I don't feel like I need to use my brain to think of anything better because it's it's good enough.
Cool.
All right, so now we've successfully added the dependency. We have DevTools in the POM file? Yes, we do. I see it right there. So what DevTools allows us to do is, and I posted the link in the chat. So this is something that I forget who mentioned it in chat earlier. You can create a config file in your home directory. So that way it's not in the repository, but it will still be read by the Spring Boot application when we run it, and only when you're running it locally. So it won't try to pull in the config file when you run it in production. Production will set the environment variables. So what you'll want to do, and you'll do this off screen, is create that config file, and you'll want to paste the anon key or whatever they called it into, so create an entry for that.
So this would be at the root for song themes. In other words, the same folder that has.
So why don't you so bring up the docs that I have up on screen. So the Spring Boot DevTools doc, it's in chat as well.
Where is it in chat? Ah, there it is. Found it.
Should be near your top.
Yeah, actually, when you select it, when you're displaying it, it actually highlights it in the comment chat, so it's easy to find. That's cool.
That's nice.
Let's see, let's pop it in here.
Yeah, so if you create a file called spring-boot-devtools.properties, if you create that file in your in a subdirectory under your home, since you're running Windows, it would be whatever your home directory is, user home or whatever. So if you create a .config directory and then underneath that a slash, a Spring Boot directory, and then you create a properties directory in there, a properties file in there, then it will read that.
There we go.
Right, so that's your home directory, and so if you create a .config under that.
Let me make sure there's not already one there. Nope. It's been so long since I've done this on a Windows command line. Let's see if that's the right syntax. It is. Whoop. Right.
I guess you could bring up, if you had the WSL or whatever, you could use that. You don't have to use the Windows command prompt.
Yeah, no, I'm already here.
And then, yeah, let's make the Spring-Boot directory into that.
For some reason, spring didn't look like it was spelled correctly, though it was.
All
And
right.
now this will be,
And now create that properties file.
this I'll do off screen.
Why don't you keep
Actually,
it on screen for now until you paste the thing, because you want to make sure we get the format of the file correct.
yeah, let me do one thing. Give me a second.
Yep. I think we'll need the anon key and the JWT secret. So both of those. Where is the anon key? Oh, we pasted the anon key. So we just need the JWT secret.
No. Interesting. Okay, why is it not finding?
What are you trying to do?
I'm trying to get into the folder through Windows Explorer and then use Sublime to create the file and open it.
Oh, it's literally going to have like one line in it, so you can use VI if you have to.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if VI exists in my command prompt.
Do you
There we
have
go. I got it.
a
I got
bash
it on me.
prompt?
I got it. What are we going to call this file again?
What it says there in
Oh,
the web page.
this one. Yeah.
Do you have the Windows Linux thing set up on your machine?
I'm not sure I do. The one, what was it called? There was one that was popular back in the day. I don't know if it still exists anymore.
Well, no, there's officially supported Linux, the Windows Linux
Oh,
kernel.
really? That
Yeah.
I do not know. Oh,
Okay.
POSIX?
No. It's called WSL2 is
Ah,
all I know about it, but I haven't used
okay.
Windows in years.
I'll check. Okay, so I got the file. I got it open in Sublime. So I'm ready
Yeah.
when you are.
So WSL is the Windows subsystem for Linux, but basically gives you a full Linux environment on your Windows. I believe it requires Windows Pro.
Which
I
I
don't know
have.
so then
Yeah.
you should. I would highly recommend that you get that, because then you can stop having to use command prompt and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll look into that later.
Yep.
Okay.
So one in here is basically the same property name that we're going to pull from. So you can go back to the IntelliJ, so we can find the property in the application properties file.
The other one. Yep.
So we want to do so it's going to pull from the environment variable. I don't know if it's going to parse it correctly. So let's. What do I do? Wait, I'm not on screen, so I can. Yeah, we can do that. So copy line 6, everything inside the curlies. Yep, copy that and paste that into your file. And then do equals.
And now off screen.
And then I'm just looking to see if we need anything else.
And we don't need this.
If you want to, may as well do that one as well. So copy that one in. That'll be obviously a separate line, equals, and then yes, off screen. Do that stuff.
So that will be in here.
I just realized I can go delete some stuff from my. I've got like 40 lines in my config, and something that I need that I want to do, because I know Deshaun does this on his setup, is I'd like to have it all this stuff in my one password in my password vault, and have it just reveal it in the environment transparently. But I haven't looked at how to do that yet, which I should do.
Interesting. The database password. So I've already got the JWT secret. Now on Supabase, it's saying the password you provided. So here's a UI challenge. I can
Remember,
show you.
you generated it.
Right. But what's interesting is, look, it doesn't. Oh, you can't.
Yeah,
there's no scroll bar.
That's terrible. Yeah, that's terrible.
Okay. So that one I will pull from my vault.
Like changing the contrast and making the contrast low just to indicate that it's not editable is really bad UI. Hey, Invisible Programmer. Yes. So you're watching on Twitch, and so it's always becomes a video on demand on Twitch, but also you can see it on YouTube, since we simulcast to both, and so it's available there. And yes, today there's a lot of struggling, fumbling around. You probably will definitely want to watch it at least 2 times speed, with also your finger on the fast forward button to skip past stuff.
Yeah. Okay. File made, and we're
all
good.
right. So
and saved.
Let's see. So how can the trick is how can we verify that this works? I guess we can protect our site. So let's go ahead and in whoops.
What?
Where is it? I was just looking for it. There it is. So let's go back into our application properties file, and let's add some more entries here. So let's add supabase.public.get. And this is going to be, let's just use slash. So we'll allow, basically we're saying, no, /. Not sure if that needs to be in double quotes, but we can put it in double quotes just to be sure. And then, so that's basically telling Supabase, or telling the authentication stuff, hey, this is public. And so you don't need to be authenticated at all. Let's add another row, so you can basically duplicate that row. Let's see. So how in a properties file do we enter multiple things? I forget how we do that. Separated by commas? Put in curly braces? What's the answer? I think it's comma separated. So let's try that. Um, so I delete that line, put a comma, uh, and let's do the URL that you have at the bottom there on line 22, so slash theme search. All right, and so that is our public. Uh, let's create now another entry. So supabase dot roles.
You sure?
I am sure.
It's not okay.
I know it's not auto completing, but
Got it.
that's what the docs say. These, yeah, I'm not sure why. Since these are configured, it may not auto complete those. Although, like, I'm not surprised that when we do .admin that won't auto complete. But I'm a little surprised roles wasn't auto completable.
No.
But anyway, it's supabase dot roles dot admin. And this stuff is way easier to configure, I guess, in YAML, but whatever. Dot get. And so what this is saying is for those who have the role of admin, they are allowed to do get requests against this endpoint. Actually, why don't we take the theme search and move it down to here?
You mean this whole line?
No, just the theme search URL.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like this.
Yeah. And then get rid of the comma. Yep. And that's fine. I think. I think that's it. Let's run the application. Oh, before we do that, actually, we need to go back into Supabase and set up some links. So the way OAuth works is underneath. It's going to basically do a request for the login page to Supabase, and then Supabase, once it confirms who you are, it will do a redirect back to our page, and we have to tell it what URLs are allowed. So it's probably under authentication. Unless it's under something else. It's probably somewhere else.
What are we looking for specifically?
What we're looking for is there are so there needs to be we need to tell Supabase which links it's allowed to redirect back to. Because we want to redirect back to our site once we finish logging in, because it's going to then give us the token. But we need to tell Supabase what URL that is so that people don't, do all sorts of nasty stuff.
Right.
So apparently that is, where is that configuration? So it should be under authentication. I'm not seeing it. That's SMPT, user sessions, passwords. So what we're looking for is some place to specify callback URLs.
Do they have a search capability in this?
No. I don't see one. Oh, there's a search button. Command K.
Oh, here it is. Yeah. What was the search keyword you suggested?
So we want redirect URLs. but I don't see where that is. It's not under API. That's the project URL.
This help page makes it seem like. So where's the site URL specified? Oh, project. What? No.
Now, somewhere we need to be able to enter, and this is usually straightforward, and I'm not sure why it's so obscure. Basically, so with other OAuth provider, it's very easy. You basically say, here's the URL, here are the multiple URLs that you're allowed to go back to.
Is this it?
Oh, that looks like it. Where is that?
Well, I actually went to it. I'm gonna roll back. So I had done a search, the control K. It brought me to this help page.
Oh,
And
it's
then
under
here,
authentication, not under settings. Wow, that's confusing.
so then I clicked on its allow list. And that brings us here. And
Right,
then I click this
right.
and it brought us there.
Yeah, so they basically have authentication stuff split into two parts, which is very confusing.
Where's the parent? Oh, configuration.
So if you click on the padlock on the left, that's where we are.
Gotcha. Yep.
And so what we want is URL configuration, which is where we are. And our site URL, we want that to be not 3000, but 8080. And so I think we need to add a redirect URL. So click on add URL there on the right. And this is going to be I think we can just add the same thing.
Oh, what? The local?
Yeah. When we actually deploy, we'll need to add the URL of where we're deploying to.
Should we do both now, or since we're here?
No, because I don't know where we're going to deploy it to or what its URL is just yet. I don't know if you've hooked up your custom domain to it yet. I forget. I think you did.
Yeah, I did. See,
but we can figure that out later. I think that's it. So Tukes asks, why are we using Supabase and not my database? We're not using Supabase for database, even though that's part of the name. We're using Supabase for only for its authentication. Okay, now I think we're ready to run our app locally and see if it works. So you selected the config, but you didn't run the config.
Thank you.
Which is a really interesting UI issue because I see that happen all the time. Oh, we renamed our application, so you probably need to open up the project.
Oh, shoot.
And right click, open up the project window, and then right click on Song Themes Startup.
What did we change?
We renamed that from the standard out of the box Song Themes application.
Oh.
You can just click the green run arrow there on the left. Yep.
Right.
So it's trying to connect to the database. let's see if we can turn that off.
Okay.
So let's stop the application. Let's go into the POM file. Let's let's comment out the Postgres. Oh, that's for test containers, so we'll leave that. Sorry. Do we have Postgres somewhere else? Yeah,
Here,
so let's comment that one out.
the whole dependency, right?
Yeah. And Flyway is somewhere around. Did we take that out or forget?
We deleted it. Remember?
Okay, good. Okay. Let's try running the app again.
Okay. Oop, wrong password.
That's a bummer. So I'm actually surprised that the password's wrong because I thought we specified that in the
The file.
in the config file.
I'm gonna look at it just to double check, but
Yeah.
we did. It's the. Let me just look at my vault. Yeah, Superbase admin password. That matches. Do you think the properties file needs a new line or an empty line after that?
Empty lines don't matter.
Okay, or
Lack of
in other
empty
words,
lines don't matter.
or lack. Okay, so it can
Yeah.
parse without. Got it.
Yeah.
Does it need to pick it up? Well, no, we're restarting the server, so it should pick it up
Yeah,
at
it should
that
be picking
point.
it up automatically. Let's see.
Do we specify? Oh, that's in the pot. That's in the application, right? Specify the database.
So what you could do temporarily is off screen, put the password directly in here.
Right.
And then close the tab.
Yep.
Because maybe it's not reading it.
Okay, I'm gonna
in the correct way.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
And then, does it need quotes?
No.
Okay, good. Now, help me remember not to open that file on screen. And we are back. Rerun?
Yeah.
Okay, Shift F10.
Well, so it's not a problem with it picking it up from the environment variable. Oh, I wonder, maybe we had the host wrong. What did we put in for the host? Wait, so let's, since we know it's not the password, let's revert your application properties so you don't have the password in there.
Yep.
Let me know when that's done.
Reverted.
Okay. So I'll bring you back. Did we grab we did copy the host, right? That is the host. So,
Is it?
yeah.
Mm.
So I thought maybe we left it over from what he had in the README, but no, I'm pretty sure I now remember we copied and pasted it. I mean, we can double check the settings.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
The other thing we can do is we can have IntelliJ try to connect to the database.
Hmm. Should we check the settings first?
Yeah, let's double check the settings. So that would
Now
be under database. Yeah, database. Not database, but under settings.
down here,
Yeah,
project.
yeah.
So confusing.
And
Okay.
then it's under configuration for database. So that's the whole URI.
And then the
And we copied the host, we copied the database name. The port is the standard port. We copied the user, and you have the password.
the user. Wait a second. Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Um,
Do we need to specify the port?
no, the port, that's the standard port, so you wouldn't have to
Okay.
set it unless it's different from the standard. But 5432 is Postgres's standard.
Okay. Database is Postgres.
And it didn't say it couldn't connect. It said the password was wrong.
Good point.
So
Do you think we? No, it's like I was like, oh, did I not save and we created the password? But we could reset the password.
well, let's do this. So
The intelligent
at the
thing.
top where it says connection string on the Supabase site, if you click on JDBC and you copy that,
Mode, session mode. Okay.
I guess
What other options are there?
transaction mode, that's fine. That's just pooling.
Okay. Copy that.
So copy that and then go into IntelliJ, open up the database tool window. So under tools, do you not have database?
We should.
I don't know where they hide that. I have it up. If you bring up the actions and do database,
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
it'll be
Sessions, the blue one,
maybe.
or Explorer.
No, you want one with the there should be a database with the database icon, but where the database icon is gray.
Oh, I got to spell database right.
That helps. Yeah, that's the one. First one.
First one. Got it.
It's so weird. I don't know. Like, I guess it hides the tool windows if you've never used them, and now it's visible.
But is it not?
But
It's not visible
it's not a
here.
tool. Maybe it's under window. And then that's just active tool windows. All right, whatever. So if you go to the plus there, and we want to add a new data source, and it's going to be Postgres. Yep. And if you just paste the thing that you copied into the URL, and your password, you're going to have to drag that off screen and punch in your password. And then when you hit OK or whatever, it should try to connect.
You can see the error at the bottom.
So download the driver.
Because I got to close this.
No, you don't have to close it.
Oh, it wouldn't let me click download.
No,
Oh,
but you don't click there.
ah,
There's an entry on the dialog.
got it. So back to the dialogue.
Yeah, back to the dialog.
Should I do this?
Oh, you can do it that. Yeah. So what that does is the ID itself needs the drivers to talk to the database, and it doesn't ship with them, so it has to download them.
Should I open that window back up? Or
If you've added the password, you shouldn't have to. You should just now be able to try and connect. You can you can refresh it.
Something unusual has occurred.
Uh-huh. All right, so this looks like it's a Supabase problem that I don't know what to do. Unless there's some characters, and so Endofactor Zero mentioned this, maybe there's some characters in your password that are not allowed. Did you have special characters in it?
Yeah, the only one. Oh, actually, yeah, only one.
Which is what?
Bang.
Yeah, that might not be good.
We can go back and reset.
Yeah, so so why don't you go ahead and change the database password. I think you have to
Not
click
do this.
yeah, it's there, but you have to click below, scroll down the right. There's a
Wasn't there a reset password? I thought it was.
yeah, it was right below the connection parameters. Right
There
there.
it is. I'll do this off screen because
Yep.
I don't know what it's going to look like right away. Oh, I just put it in there. Okay. Well, I could just let it generate.
Yeah, you could just let it generate and then just copy it.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Saved in my vault. Click reset. And then I have to put it in this. So you want to turn my screen off?
Yeah,
You haven't already?
well, yep.
Okay, so now I will go to properties, the end of the URL. No.
Hey, Jonas, nice to see you.
Why? Okay, I think you bring me back, and then I just do. Now I did it through. I'll wait till you bring me back on screen. Here, and actually, you can do it, and it's hidden. It's interesting. So when you open this up, see, it's the hidden
Right.
password. So
Right.
I could have done that on screen. So now we just do refresh and see if we're
Yep.
copacetic.
Yep.
Well, we got that something unusual again.
Hmm.
That hit really fast, though.
Well, I am stumped.
Hmm.
Because
I'm gonna take this off
let
screen.
me see if I can connect to my Supabase. So I connected successfully. So there's something not quite right on your end. Do you want to bring up the properties again?
Yeah, I had it off screen. Oh, interesting. Overrides above. 1 second. Let me, I'm going to scroll horizontally in this window here, the URL. But
Yeah,
if
that's
I
gonna
remember
that's
correctly,
going.
that one
Yeah.
has, interesting, it doesn't have a,
When you paste the URL in and it has the password, it automatically removes it from the URL and puts it in the proper places.
I see.
But I would double check the password because it worked for me. So you might want to copy and paste the password again.
I did, but oh, so you're saying from resetting or from the vault? Because I reset it.
Well, from whatever you reset it to.
Yeah. Okay, let me do that on screen again. Apply. Okay.
Because here, I'll show you what you should see.
There we go.
Oh, okay.
Don't know what happened, but
Okay.
possibly. Well, my buffer, I thought I had it in my buffer. Maybe I didn't.
Yeah. All right. Well, then that was the problem. So now that we verified that we can connect with that password, go ahead and put that in your hidden config file.
Yes. Wow. How did that? Interesting. So when I did paste in the config file, it pasted just bang. It's like,
Well, that's
what?
clearly not right.
But it's like, that was the same paste I did seconds ago
Yeah.
into, huh, that's odd. Okay. So the properties file is changed and saved.
Okay.
So now we'll restart the server.
Now let's restart the server.
Shift F10. Ooh, are you kidding me? So in the
Yeah.
config file, it's just this text,
Uh-huh.
right? Because the others, it's saying the $ curly is saying, hey, go over there and get it.
Right. Well, you can do the same thing we did before. Duplicate that line, comment it out, temporarily paste off screen.
Okay. Will you,
I'll remove you.
yeah, it's easier than.
This is like the hardest stuff. Whenever I set up a new service, this is always the most annoying, hard stuff, especially doing on stream because one of the things I do is uh,
I'm
I
ready.
basically inject the value from the properties file into something that's displayed at startup, so I can see, did it actually pull in the right thing? Because oftentimes, like, I copy and paste wrong or I mistype the thing. But that's not something you can do on stream because you literally, that's what you don't want to display. But injecting that value, you can use the at value to inject that into the startup, and then you can actually look at what is the actual property for that.
So you can put my screen back on.
It's safe to put it back. Okay.
Yes. And so I'll restart up.
Yep. Oh, there we go.
Complete initialization.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So something's not right in the way the config is set up.
Set up.
But we can resolve that offline.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Let's just make sure not to. I mean, you
Check
can always
that
reset
in.
the password, right? I mean, this is not.
Right.
I'm not terribly concerned about this password being revealed because once we're done with the stream, you could go reset it very quickly. Yeah. All right. So now that the app is running, we can now, and again, this is sort of I think I probably would not use this starter because it seems to require you to connect to the database, and I don't want that. Um, and maybe there's some pull requests we can do to work with Thomas to say, I actually don't want to use Superbase's database, and therefore I don't want to have to configure it. But anyway, let's now go to your app from a browser. So we should be able to, assuming we configured things correctly, we should be able to hit the root and see the welcome message. And we do. And so now if you go to the slash whatever, but we want the localhost version of that.
All right. I'd love to press the caps lock key.
Just map it to something else like I do.
Oops.
Hey, perfect. So it took us to unauthenticated, which is what the default is somewhere. We have the default where if you're unauthenticated, it hits you, it puts you over to unauthenticated. What's
So actually,
weird though is
we didn't test root then.
no, we did. We said the coming soon.
No, but that was not localhost. That was songthematic.com.
Oh. Okay. I thought.
So
Sorry, I thought
yeah, I typed. Same thing for root.
So the too many redirects is a problem because we didn't tag unauthenticated as something that's public, and that should actually be public. So let's go add that. So let's go back to our
Superbase?
No.
Oh, no.
So this is going to be in your application properties, but that means you're going to
Yeah, you have to do it on
the
screen.
password.
Yeah. Let me know when you've taken me offline. Okay. Recent files, application properties.
Oh,
how about this? I'm going to push it way down, like out of view, and we can look at the top of the application file, and it'll be fine. So
that
you
sounds
could
like a plan.
share my screen again.
Okay. So,
now we don't have a login page.
you might have pushed down stuff. So you might have pushed down stuff we need though. So let me take you off the stuff that had the Supabase public get. That stuff we need visible.
Yeah, where did that go?
I think it's
not
below.
there. No, it isn't.
Wait, where'd it go?
Exactly.
Can you do a search for it?
Hold on a second. I'm going to pull out the password. I'm going to put it in just that little notepad thing over here. And you can share my screen again. I'm going to. So this is the whole file.
Well, we lost all those entries. That's weird.
Yeah. How did we lose those? I wonder if that was our.
Well, at some point we lost it, so that's probably why it's not working.
Let me do local history, but I think you might have to.
Yeah, I'll take you off.
Turn me off again. Yeah, I think I see where. Yeah, there's that. There's the get. But there was two get. Oh, there we go.
Janice brings up a good suggestion. You can put the password in the YAML file because yeah, we can either do profiles, but if there's both an application YAML and an application properties will take precedence, but it will still process both of them. We just have to make sure we don't commit that.
Okay, I brought this back in. I still have the password off screen, but you can.
So why don't you create um,
Should we do this first? So
actually,
we
you
don't
know
have
what?
two things in flight. You were thinking about
Sure.
the YAML.
Yeah, well, I'm actually thinking about changing your local config uh, to construct it differently.
Hmm.
Um,
I do not have password on screen, so if you want to,
yeah, okay.
I've
So,
cut it out. So these are the two lines that we're missing.
right. Let's add a couple of more to the get. So put a comma after the end of the get line. Yep. And we want basically what we have up there on 9. So unauthenticated, that URL. And also unauthorized page. Yeah. And yeah, let's restart the app.
Okay, I gotta put the password back in. So you'll.
So don't put the password back in. Go into your config file, your off-screen config file.
Oh, that one. Right.
Yeah. And instead of the uppercase version, because actually that's actually the environment variable, and for some reason it's not picking it up. So what we can do is we can set the property directly. So if you use the lowercase supabase dot jwt secret, making sure the S is uppercase, and you put that in your properties, in your local properties file, that should work.
Oh, wait a second. Supabase JW secret or Supabase database password?
I'm sorry, the database password and the JWT secret, which we'll also need, but basically make both look like what they look like in the application properties in terms of the
Case. So
yeah.
lowercase.
So lowercase supabase dot
database password.
yeah.
Okay, done. And then the JW. So now let's see. Do I have that one? I can just type it by hand. Supabase dot JWT dot secret and still equals.
And still equals, yes.
Okay, saved.
Okay. So what'll happen is that so Spring has a priority order for what overrides what, and the DevTools global settings config file overrides everything. So it will always replace whatever might have been defined before. It should override it. So let's go ahead and run the app and see what happens. Hopefully it'll still start up. If not, then we can fall back to the other way. All right.
Yep.
Cool. So let's go. Let's see what happens now. So let's go to the root, which we should be allowed to see. No. Hmm. Maybe it has to do with the way the multiple properties are set up. We could sort of take those two entries and put them in the YAML file.
Okay.
So basically cut lines 15 and 16. And then let's create a new file at the same level as the application properties. So just right click on application properties and say new. And it'll just be a file. and application.yaml or YML, whatever. Either one is fine.
Like that?
Yep. Do a paste and let's see what happens. No, it didn't do it. Okay. So let's
What?
no, I
Yeah.
would have expected it to convert it, but I guess it didn't. Um, so let's copy and paste from the README because I don't trust our ability to indent it correctly. So if you scroll down, there's the configuration for the, yeah. So grab that. I think that's actually wrong. I think it needs to be indented one more because it's missing the supabase. So go to the top of the file, do supabase colon,
Ah,
and then paste. Yeah. And so let's, for the get, let's add another row. So instead of 6, just make it that, just the slash, line 6. We can leave the post, it doesn't matter. And then let's add the theme search.
6.5.
Actually, no, we don't want that one public. So let's go and so indent 1, and I think it's roles.
Oh,
So roles colon. Yep. And then indent, and then what was it? Admin. And then admin colon, and then indent, and then get colon, and then dash, and the URL. And you can get rid of that. All right, let's restart.
it did start successfully. It did. Okay. So now we'll try root.
Uh-huh.
There we go.
All right. So it must be something that it's not processing a properties file correctly. That seems like either we're not doing
We're not doing it correctly.
it correctly for multiple values, which is likely the case because I don't do many multiple. I think, oh, I remember you have to specify it as an array, which is kind of annoying. So the YAML is actually easier for this, so we'll just leave it. So that was probably our mistake in the properties file. All right, and so now if we go to slash themes, yeah, it should now redirect us to unauthenticated. But the too many redirects is still a problem because it shouldn't be redirecting.
Anything here in console that's helping?
So hold on, you're scrolling. Oh, I see what's happening. So it's redirecting to a page that doesn't exist, and therefore it's probably trying to redirect to some other page, and so that's a problem. So
How do you tell it to redirect?
yeah, so I think I led us down a bad road. So that's totally my fault. I didn't realize that and I should have read the README more carefully. It looks like this is not just so it says usage with which the HTMX, this library is heavily optimized for HTMX. It's actually completely only useful for HTMX because he doesn't have any documentation for how one would do this auth without using HTMX. So that's
Is that
that's a
bad? Because we were planning on using HTMX, weren't we?
well, but he's using it for all authentication, which I wasn't planning on doing because that means you are
tied to HTMX.
You're 100% tied to that.
Interesting.
So that's my fault. But we're at time, so I think we should call it for today. And what I'll do is I'll do a little bit more research on using Supabase to more directly as an OAuth provider. Because then we can leverage just Spring Security and use its configuration. So I don't think this is a good fit for us because I'm not honestly crazy about like it's offloading too much to the configuration file, and I actually prefer programmatic configuration. That's just my preference. Not saying this is good or bad, just my preference.
But I think the deal killer is the HTMX.
Well, the HTMX and the fact, I mean, and yeah, that's I mean, it does say HTMX Supabase starter. So, but I thought we could still leverage its authentication, but apparently not. So, all right.
It's all good.
Well,
we learned something.
Yep.
We learned stuff. Any questions left in the chat? We haven't.
I don't think so. But we learned a little bit more about how to set up your config, so that'll serve us well going forward because you'll probably just keep that, and then we'll be able to pull those properties in into whatever setup we decide. All right, that's all, folks, for today. Sometimes you don't make as much progress as you'd like, but you still learn stuff. So thanks for joining us. And
how many story points was today? I can't remember.
1,000.
1,000
points today. All right, so thanks for hanging out. I will probably do a solo stream later today. We haven't yet scheduled our next pairing stream, but we'll do that soon. And so we will see you next time. Thanks for joining us.